The Democratic Alliance Federal Congress is continuing in Midrand. John Steenhuisen is going head-to-head with former Johannesburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse for the leadership post. Let's go there now live, where we find eNCA senior reporter Aviwe Mtila. Aviwe, I do understand that you are with a member of the DA. Tell us more.
Well, we've heard those addresses, Heidi, from the two contenders of party leader, both of them telling the 2,000 delegates here why they should vote for them to be party leader. A very crucial vote, of course, that's expected to happen in the early hours of tomorrow morning. Crucial in the sense that that's the very leadership that will take the Democratic Alliance to next year's elections in about 15 or so months. And it's important because the opinion polls are already suggesting that the governing African National Congress is expected to dip below the 50% mark. That would mean, of course, we're having the advent of possibly the coalition government in a national scheme of things. Just to get a sense of how the addresses went and how they received on the ground, I am joined by the chair of the Democratic Alliance in the capital city and Tshwane itself. Thank you for joining us at eNCA. Sorry, but let's speak of what we've heard here. John Steenhuisen suggesting that he's been in the party since 1997. He is capable in the sense of being a ward councillor on the ground. Do you believe he's the right man for the job?
Well, look, I think both candidates presented a very strong case today. They come with different qualities. I think the delegates will then decide tomorrow who is more compelling in terms of, leading the party going forward. I think what I've seen for the first time in a very, very long time, it's not about changing, a policy. It's about, consolidating what we have and then growing some. And I think both of them are talking specifically to that. I think the delegates will have a tough choice tomorrow in terms of the leadership style that is going to then get us to 2024 and then beyond. I think that's what the differentiating factor is going to be here tomorrow.
And I want to talk to some of what Dr. Phalatse raised here around the big task that the DA has in bridging the trust between the party and the electorate on the ground. A lot of people are believing that the DA is a white party and serves the interests of a minority. How are you going to address this to the electorate?
Well, I think you can look around here. You can look here today. Look at the diversity. I don't think there's any party that has ever had a Congress or will have a Congress that can be as diverse as this. And this is just a microsome of a DA representation across South Africa. These are people who are coming from all over, the country. So there is a myth that has been perpetuated time and time again about, who the DA is. And I think it's high time that the DA really carve its own narrative and show the people who we are. And this is why I was saying to you, the challenge for both leaders, irrespective of who wins, is going to then be able to support each other and be able to then say we are a diverse group of people. We represent not only a particular section of South Africa, but we represent everybody who wants to see change. We represent everybody who wants to see a South Africa that is working for all the people and not just some.
And the electorate on the ground, of course, is going to ask what they're seeing. And they're going to ask, why are we seeing so many black leaders leave the DA? Your Muslim Maimane, your Herman Mashaba, Ntuli, a lot of them are leaving the DA. Why is that so? How do you answer as a leadership?
Well, politics is very funny, and especially in South Africa. People join and people go. I don't hear you asking why Bongani Baloyi is leaving, Action SA. Why Tau is fired from Action SA. Why leaders within the ANC are leaving the ANC. But it looks like the question is only reserved for the Democratic Alliance and only around certain people. Michael Shackleton was a leader of the Democratic Alliance, left the DA, white person. John Moody, a colored leader who left the DA. So, you cannot then say because it's only you want to concentrate on a certain racial category, racial group. Therefore, it means that the DA is only bleeding, black people. All parties do lose people at times, and all parties do gain people at times. And I think that's what we need to be then saying. But what I'm much more concerned about is how are we going to be able to consolidate from a Gauteng perspective and be able to then show that we're the only alternative to the current government, that is the ANC. That is for me the most important thing. I don't want to go into a racial debate here. I want to go to how does a woman that is sitting in Alexander have water, have electricity, have a job that they need to go to, that they can go to. How do we make sure that that child who's coming from Alexander will get the same education as a child that will be coming from Sandton? How will we make sure that whether you are living in Westbury right now where people are being killed on a day-to-day basis, will have security that will be the same as security that is in gated estates? That is for me the greatest concern. And whether the person who's going to get us there is a black, white, Indian, colored, I don't care. I just want these things to be addressed. And that is what is the most important for me here.
Coalition governance seems like it's inevitable if the opinion polls are anything to go by. Some will say, while yes, the DA is advocating for coalition governance in the national scheme of things, they've had their chance in the metros and it's been a struggle there. How do you address that?
Well, I think we're still learning. One of the things that we've appreciated over the last while is that coalitions are very difficult, and this is why we've already even put a bill, a private members bill together that talks to how do we then begin to regulate coalitions and make sure that once you put coalitions together, these coalitions stay the course. I mean, we've studied what is happening in Scandinavian countries, we've studied what is happening in Europe where there are coalitions, and we want to then ensure that there is a model that we can follow, that once you have coalitions in place, that those coalitions are not only coalescing around the issues of position, but they coalesce around how do we deliver services and how do we then ensure that once you have put those coalitions together, when there is squabbles amongst partners, that those squabbles, somehow there's regulations in terms of how you then deal with that. And if we're able to then do that, we will be able to then ensure that the coalitions in the long run are becoming more sustainable. And also, you're not going to have a party that is not able to then put up its own hand up and opt to put one-man parties in speakers' offices, in mayors' offices, because they cannot agree with their partners. But there will be a regulation in terms of how you put them together, in terms of how you regulate them, and also you want to make it difficult for people to then start auctioning themselves between different parties. And this is how we're going to be able to then get coalitions to be stable in government and to make sure that they serve the term.
Before I let you go, I must ask, we're seeing a lot of performances, seems organized, but surely they come at a cost. How much did the conference itself cost?
I honestly wouldn't know. I honestly didn't know that. I think that is a question you can ask the finance chairperson. But what I can tell you is this. We would put any kind of professional production, professional congress at a fraction of what the ANC will do, and it will run smoother, it will run more organized. And you have seen here, we are using technology more than the ANC will done. And I'm sure if you find out what the cost is, I can guarantee you, I don't know what the final figure is, but if you ask what we spend and what the ANC spent over something that was chaotic in the beginning, you find that those that can be trusted with the purse and those who cannot be trusted with the purse, you see the difference there.
Okay, thank you very much. That's the chair of the capital city, Tshwane Simang, talking about, of course, the costs of this very conference, which we can see actually it's running accordingly. We've seen a number of speakers there, a number of performances today, so it will be interesting to find out how much it costs. But of course, it's day one, where we're expecting in day two at around 6 o'clock, these 2,000 delegates will then be electing their leader, well, voting, in fact, for their leadership here.
Thank you for asking that money question, Aviwe Mtila. That is our senior reporter out at Gallagher Estates.